Hey everyone, welcome to my first video of 2019. Yay! This year is the year I tackle my YouTube channel. For those that are new here, hi, my name is Nina and I'll be your artist in residence. Going into 2019, I really wanted to start by giving some advice to new artists, or maybe you're thinking about being an artist, maybe you already are one, maybe you're just starting out. These tips really apply to everyone and anyone. They do just come from my own experience, so you don't have to take them at their core. You can, pull away what you will from them. My aim is basically just to share, just to try and help someone who might be struggling. So let's get right into them. My first tip has to do with shapes. I feel like it is so incredibly important when you're trying to draw something to sort of dumb it down and look at it at a very basic form. I've found that by doing this, I've improved my art tremendously, and it's really changed the way that I do things. So the next tip is to use reference. Don't ever be afraid of using reference. Use it day, morning, night, twilight, at any time. You will see such a huge improvement in your art if you actually allow yourself to do this. I know a lot of people, I wouldn't say there's arguments about it, but I know there's a lot of, hoo-ha about, whether or not reference is quote-unquote cheating or fair or whatever, but no, don't listen to any of that. Your art, you will thank yourself so much. If you're after a certain pose, go through stock photos, try and find something, take a picture of yourself. It will honestly escalate your art so much if you allow yourself to use reference. Moving on to my third tip is don't worry about trying to find your style. I actually struggled with this quite severely through my art journey. I took a break from drawing between, let's say, 2006 and 2012, so 6-year gap. When I got back into it, one of the first things I focused on was getting my style down, finding out what my style was. And it caused a lot of headache when it really didn't need to. You don't need to worry about finding your style will find you. As you progress, as you draw more, you will develop your own style. You will develop multiple styles. You don't have to have just one, you can have 5. When you stop focusing on what your style is, it will come to you. It is something that grows as you do and gets stronger as your artistic abilities get stronger. So try not to worry too much if you can't identify it just yet. It will come to you. The next tip, which you've undoubtedly heard regularly, is draw. Sort of the practice makes perfect, and it is no joke. The more you draw, the more you will improve, the more you'll get out your bad stuff and move on to the better stuff and then the great stuff. You just have to let yourself go through that process. No one gets great in a day. It just isn't possible. Take your time, but schedule time for yourself in a day, even if it's just a half hour in a day. Sketch a full page or sketch ahead, sketch whatever you want to be working on. But the more consistent you are with making an effort to draw every day, or even if it's just, a couple times a week, the faster you'll see improvement and the more likely you are to be where you want to be with your art. Number 5 is make sure every now and again to just maybe lightly step out of your comfort zone. For years, all I really did was draw 3/4 heads and busts, which I don't regret, but I stayed away from a lot of things I was scared of because I didn't want to make bad art. But that's a very silly way of thinking. You should absolutely make bad art, and you should try drawing things you don't normally do. Something I started drawing maybe, I'd say 2 years ago, is animals. I don't draw a lot of them, and I usually draw them interacting with my main character, but I've actually gotten better at it the more I've done it, and I found out I really enjoy drawing animals, even though I mostly draw women with lots of hair. So yeah, it's just worth keeping in mind. You don't stress about it, but just, every now and again, try something new. You never know what you might find out you'll enjoy doing. Tip number 6, and I touched on this already briefly in another, I think a couple of points, but make mistakes. You are going to make so many mistakes in your art journey, and that's okay. That is probably the most important part of your journey. I feel like the moment I improve the most is when I finish a piece. I look at it and I can spot the mistakes. Something I spent a lot of time doing was working a piece until I couldn't see the mistakes anymore, and I have to say I really don't think that's the best way to go. I think if you're going to finish a piece and you spot mistakes as you're going, it's sometimes worth just finishing the piece as you intended and then taking a step back, looking at it, recognizing what you think is wrong, and then using it to make your next piece. If you think maybe the proportion of your wrist to your elbow needs shortening, or hey, maybe it's the width of the shoulders, or the feather direction on the bird you just drew, you can always make more art. Don't get so hung up that you try and perfect something that you don't move on. So make those mistakes. Allow yourself to make mistakes. I promise it's okay and worthwhile. So I believe we're now on to 7. Stop comparing yourself to other artists. This is a really hard one, and I feel like a lot of us get trapped in this at some point or another. There's almost no avoiding it. But I will say I think it's incredibly unhealthy. I know that late this year I got stuck in that rut where I couldn't stop comparing myself based on, how many followers I have or how much I've gotten done in the year. And it's just a really poisonous way of thinking, and I don't think it does anyone any good. There are going to be artists out there that you think are better than you, but you don't know what they've gone through to get to the point that they have. Maybe they've been drawing every day for an hour since they were 5. Maybe they just improve really, really quickly. Maybe they're one of those kinds of people that can look at something once and just draw it. You never know. It isn't fair to you or to anyone else to compare your progress with anyone else's. And again, it is hard not to do this. I would never deny that, but try and avoid it as much as possible for your mental health and overall artist health. Please, try not to do this too much. Getting there. Second to last one. Tip number 8, make art for yourself. This one might seem sort of like, well, of course I'm making art for myself. You will get to a point, likely, if this is what you want to be doing, where you're drawing a lot of things that aren't for yourself. It could be commissions, it could be merch items, hey, it could even be request streams that you do. But I think for a lot of us, we spend time drawing so much for other people or drawing for what we think other people want that we forget to take a step back and draw for ourselves. It's a really easy way to sort of lose yourself. And again, this is speaking from something I've gone through myself, where when I've spent a long period of time not drawing things I specifically want to draw, I feel horrible. I feel like I'm not making progress. I feel like I've lost touch with my artistic self, and it's overall just really not a nice feeling. If you're buried under projects, if you're buried under art commitments, remember it's okay to take the time to draw for you. Just no matter how much you have going on, no one is going to blame you for taking 5 minutes, taking 10 minutes, taking an hour, and just do something for you. Draw what makes you happy. And I think overall it will help you keep a better balance over what you create. And we've made it to the last tip, which is number 9. Take care of yourself. As an artist, you have a very draining job, both mentally and physically. You're usually at a desk a lot. You're usually in a mindset where you're constantly pushing yourself to do more. It is so important to take a step back and avoid burnout. I might address burnout on its own on a separate video in the future, but it is so unpleasant to go through when you just get so overwhelmed and so overworked that you get to a point where you can't produce anything new. You can't work on existing products. You just feel like mud, and it's really not productive. I also think it's incredibly important to take care of your body. When you're sitting for hours at a time working on something, I know it can feel really great, but long term it really isn't that great on your body. You want to be doing stretches for your wrist. You want to be getting up and stretching out your spine. Something I've started doing is just taking a walk for half an hour to an hour a day. That way, even if I'm not leaving the house much, I take a break away from that, like cradled fetal artist position we mostly all have, kind of like hunched over and into what we're doing. And again, that in itself isn't a bad thing. It is never a bad thing, but not taking the break, not pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion and pain and misery, it's really hard not to do sometimes. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind. You are what's most important, not what you're doing. And you need to make sure that you're taken care of. Get up to get a cup of tea, stretch your legs, stretch your arm, and take a day off. Our minds need time to recharge, and you need time to make sure that you're motivated and inspired. Play video games, go see some friends, go out for dinner. Just do something different. Get away from your art so that you can come back to it and find the balance that will make you a better artist. Find the balance that'll fuel your creativity and ultimately make you a better artist. I really just wanted to share a quick close-up of the piece I've been working on. In case you don't recognize the character, this is Human Luna from one of my all-time favorite mangas, Sailor Moon. She's actually up for sale on my Etsy, so if anyone wants to grab her, the link is in the description, along with all the materials I used to make her. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It really means a lot. I'll be uploading videos every Tuesday, but I will just say that there will be a slight pause for the next 2 weeks. So videos will resume on the 22nd of January officially, and then from there will be every Tuesday. So I really hope to see you guys soon. If you like what I produced, hey, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'd really love the chance to get to know you guys better and to grow our own little art community. So say hi, stick around, and I'll see y'all real soon.